why don't we move on to corrupted solo dungeons? This is something I find incredibly interesting. It feels like it's the progression from the much hyped, much wanted 1v1 Hellgates, but with a twist to make them less ratable, maybe? More focused on combat, even? How about you explain to us a little bit about your vision behind them, and then we'll ask some questions based on that?
Well, I'm not sure they're more focused on combat. I mean, honestly, if you're looking for a constant one-on-one fighting, the the idea of a Hellgate is not the perfect idea in our opinion because the the whole fundamental ideas of a Hellgate was at some point that this was an open world location with a bit of a risk of PvP that somebody joins in at the same time. Nowadays, they've turned into almost arena-like places where the expectation is that you get a fight when you get in, right? With the corrupted dungeons, we wanted to go a little bit back to the idea of um, a PvE location that carries a high risk of PvP, but with the advantage that in this case, the PvP is not gonna be you versus a group of people who are just coming in looking for an easy kill, but it's gonna be a one-on-one fight situation. So it gives you a fair chance to prepare for that. It gives you a fair chance to, pick the appropriate build for the situation. And it also has a degree of matchmaking that kind of ensures that players who are really, really successful at this don't get matched, most of the time at least, against the players who are, new to this feature. So the fundamental idea is that they play like a regular. Well, let's start maybe with the narrative. So the corrupted dungeons are exactly what they sound like. They are regular dungeons. So we're imagining that's a place where the heretics set up a base and were going about their crazy business, and then they realized that they found some kind of, I don't know, demonic tablet or some sort of demonic artifact, and they started playing around with that. And in that way, they invited the demonic powers into their dungeon. And now we're arriving at this location, we're going in, and the entrance kind of closes behind us, showing us, ooh, this place was just waiting for us. And now we're stuck in this sort of half transformed, hellish heretic dungeon where all the heretics that are in there have gone completely mad, even more mad than normal. And there was even a few demons running around. And in the end, when we finish this dungeon, we're gonna face the demon that corrupted this place, and by killing him, we're gonna clear the place, but also we're gonna collect the reward for it. So primarily, or initially, it's a PvE challenge. It's a PvE dungeon that you have to clear. There's new types of mobs, new types of challenges, but then there's the PvP component. And the PvP component is basically this invasion mechanic where players who are wanting to one-on-one PvP can use the powers of this place by using a defiled shrine, to kind of say, hey, I'm gonna do a little bit of a diabolical dealing myself and try to invade another one of these hell dungeons. So basically, or corrupt dungeons. So basically, we're kind of imagining that these places are linked through the demonic power that infuses them, and we can use that power to try to invade another one of those dungeons, even though it's closed. And this is where the PvP comes in. This is where then you as the attacker, you're most like, I mean, if you're looking for PvP, you're probably going to look to kill the other guy. Now, the other guy may or may not be looking for a fight. If they're looking for a fight, they're likely going to start looking for you, and then you're just going to end up in an epic one-on-one battle to the death, and one of you is going to walk out of there. If you're not looking for a fight, though, and you're trying to defend yourself, you have two options. You can, you can face the attacker, or you can try to banish them from your dungeon. And we're currently playtesting different activities that allow you to banish another player. So there'll be like these shrines or statues that you can deactivate to kick them out of your dungeon without necessarily having to kill them. And we're a lot of the time we're spending right now on this feature is figuring out exactly how we're going to make that work with different builds and make sure that mobility builds are not the answer to everything. And that sort of finding a good balance for both people who are really into the I want a one-on-one fight, but also making that a little bit more deep, because basically we want the fight to begin the moment that another player enters the dungeon. And even though they don't have the other player on the screen, they're already thinking about what is the other player trying to do? What might they be planning? So there's going to be some information also on the minimap, for example, about where mobs have been cleared, what parts of the dungeons are maybe still active, so that you can make a prediction about maybe where's the other player going to be. So it's basically trying to extend that one-on-one fight into a little bit of a bigger encounter. Not only we're both on one screen, so I guess we're going to have to fight to the death now, but rather already starting to think about how to outsmart your opponent, even though you haven't seen him on the screen yet.
Interesting. I like that. So maybe showing like an icon on the map where the boss is and it's still like lit up, but not maybe the pathway there. Maybe icons that show which treasures have already been looted. Okay. Give you an idea of where your opponent's going to be and where you're going to meet up. And
and also if you're trying to defend, how to outmaneuver him. So like the challenge for the attacker is going to be catching his prey before they can kind of fulfill their win condition to kick you out again. But every time the defender does something to achieve their goal, they're going to give you a piece of information. They're going to give you something to work with to catch them and to kill them. So it's going to be a challenge to both sides to play their role effectively. And obviously, like a big focus is still on getting fights. So we want to make escaping without a fight possible, but tricky. And we want it to depend on the skill of both players.
It sounds like a very interesting development problem. Like you have to balance how much information to give one side versus the other so that each of them get an opportunity to fill their win condition, but you don't want to give too much information to one side so that they have an advantage. It's going to be... I'm interested already. I've got a twisted grimace on my face thinking of how to play these correctly.